Thais Glenn, our mindset coach, who was actually a speaker last year. She did speak this year too. So Thais did talk, but what she said last year was, what I realized is that after I did that talk, I thought, if I can do that and not know how many people were going to be there and never have experienced that technology and know, I mean, there's 600 and something people signed up for this thing this year. To know that and pull it off, she said, I just thought I can do anything now. She said it felt like she went from being like somebody who was just playing being a coach in business to somebody who had a business now. Hello, I'm Debbie Shadid, the host of the Life Coach Business Building Podcast. If you are ready to have more clients in your life coach business, then you're in the right spot. Each week, I'm going to teach you super simple strategies to grow your business without feeling overwhelmed and without spending money on paid ads. Now, if that sounds interesting, stick around and let's get started. Welcome to today's podcast. I am so excited. We just wrapped up the Design Live Thrive Summit yesterday, and I'm going to bring on several of the speakers and I'm going to introduce you to them. I'm going to let them tell you about their talk, just share about their experience as they prepared for the summit, also talk about the work that we've done together inside the VIP program, the Business Building Boutique. Plus, I'm going to let them share why the summit might be something that you want to be involved with. Now, we do have replays available. I will leave that in the show notes where you can join and get a replay for an entire year. $29, all access to 30 different speakers, plus all their free gifts. So cannot wait for you ladies to hear from these speakers. Let's get started. Welcome to the podcast. I am so excited. I think all of us here I kind of feel like we're walking on air. We just finished the Design Live Thrive Summit yesterday. That was the second day of the summit. It was amazing. And so I have brought on 5 of our speakers, and we're going to be talking about their experience, how they prepared, what their key takeaways were, a little bit more about the work that they do with me. But first, let me take a moment, and I would like for each of you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you coach and just maybe a couple of lines about your talk. So Marnie, let's start with you.
I am Marnie Lindsay, and I am an LDS life coach. I coach women who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, whose husbands have had a faith crisis or left the church. So my talk was a lot about, it was my story, my husband's faith crisis, and I talked about the importance of self-love in creating positive results in your life and creating a fulfilling life.
Well, I'm going to withhold like praising on every single comment, but let me just say altogether, the talks were amazing. So Marnie's was too. So anyway, thank you for that. Pam, you want to introduce yourself and also tell us a little bit about who you coach and what your talk was about?
My name is Pam Reed, and I am a coach for married women who are feeling dissatisfied and unfulfilled in their marriages. I help them become happier in their marriages and satisfied and feeling more content in their marriages. My talk was about unlocking the secret to your marriage by working with your husband's personality instead of against it. And with this, I was driving home pretty much the idea of rediscovering who you are. And by rediscovering who you are, you can then become more aware and understand your spouse in a better way. And the tool to do this that I shared with everyone was the Enneagram as a tool to discover really who you are, those tendencies and inclinations that are innate for you, and how through awareness of yourself, you begin to open up and you become more aware of your husband and who he is. So that's kind of the nutshell.
All right. Thank you. Aida, tell us about your talk.
I am Aida Lopez, and I'm a life coach for women in midlife, which could be anywhere from 40 to 65 years old. And my talk was about, a lot of times women get to this point in their life and they feel like, is this as good as it gets? And it's all downhill from here. And what I shared in my talk is how this can actually be the best chapter of your life, that it doesn't end here. And one of the things I pointed out in my talk is the fact that more women in their 50s start businesses than any other group. So that to me says a lot. It means it's not the end, right? It's people are starting new things in their 50s. That's just the beginning of the next chapter.
Beautiful. All right, Jodi, how about you?
Hi, my name is Jodi Hamilton, and I am a strategic spiritual life coach. I coach individuals that want to step into what I would consider unlocking kind of the freedom and what I would say are the keys to unlocking your destiny, which is really embracing God's timing. And that is what my talk was about. So we talked a little bit about what does it look like to really understand the timing of God and also be able to apply the wisdom of God to your life. Because everything changes when you get in step with what he's doing, and it just makes for a lot more flow.
Yeah, I love it. All right, Susan, you want to introduce yourself and tell us who you coach and what your talk was about?
Yes, thanks, Debbie. I'm Susan Lieberman, and I'm a holistic life coach, nurse, and integrative practitioner. The title of my talk was The 5 Secret How-Tos to Set Boundaries, Build Balance, and Tame Time. And for me, it was really about connection or reconnection, I'll say, because reconnection to who we already are in our true selves. So if you really want to build balance in your life and have life balance and tame time, my message was it comes from the inside out and it is achievable because if I can do it, any of you can. So that was my message. It was also about many times, and the set boundaries was a big one. And I know that was a big one in the comments because as women, that's sometimes hard for us to do. So we talked about that, but also we talked about the somatic or body-based techniques because many times we know what our issues are, or we think we know what our issues are. Some of them are conscious, some of them are subconscious, but the brain gets in the way. And that's where mindset comes in. But the mindset has to be connected to the body because the body has the wisdom. The brain thinks, but the mind feels and just knows. So we did a lot of this by connecting to ourselves through our bodies so that we could have that mind-body connection.
Beautiful. I want to tell you, if you're listening, there is a replay available for purchase, and I would highly encourage that you get it. There's about 30 talks. I need to go back and double count. There are some talks that actually you ladies haven't heard that have been just submitted. So there is a lot of variety of coaches. The goal of this summit was to help women who don't know about coaching, who don't understand the value of coaching, to have an opportunity to really get a peek into what life coaching would be. And I say life coaching general. It's whatever you've heard about the different niches that there are here, but to really see the difference between coaching versus maybe therapy or, what it could do for them. So I really want to encourage you. We'll leave the link in the show notes to buy the replay. You'll have access for a full year. It's $29. Plus all these ladies gave free gifts away with their talk. So let's move on and let's talk about the preparation. I want to set the stage before I ask you the question about the preparation. I would say it's brutal. I'll just say it's difficult to get ready for something like this. And when you are on the side of listening to this podcast, you might be thinking like, oh, I'll just throw together a talk and let's just do it. And there's a lot more moving pieces to putting together either your own individual presentation or a summit that you don't even really realize. So we actually started our first session with the ladies in October. And if you're listening to this, it's January 14th. So it was quite a long time to get ready. We did get ready in advance of the holidays intentionally so that we didn't have to be working over the kind of the winter break. But these ladies actually put into practice what we've worked on together inside the Business Building Boutique. That's kind of the fun part is like we put it all, implement all of it really. So they have to get clear on their niche. They write a talk that is based on a format that we've provided for them. Then they do email marketing. And for some of them, that's the first time they've ever done it. We write the emails to try to make it easier. Everybody has the ability and the freedom to change the emails and to make them maybe more on brand for them. But we do what we can to set you up to be able to market. For a lot of the women, it was their first time to be active on social media. We provide customized graphics with their brand and with all the captions. So a lot of steps. Plus, they had to learn how to record talks, submit them to us. We actually reviewed talks. And then, if you work with us, you get honest feedback. Some of the talks were too short. Some of them were too long. Some of them maybe didn't feel like they were kind of beefy enough with enough information. We wanted the talks to reflect each of these women's brilliances the best that they could. So the feedback that we gave was based on that. Plus, then they created these freebies. They had to create some kind of gift for you. And for everybody, that was different. It matched their talk. And then the marketing's not over because they will all start tomorrow, January 15th. They will start marketing to you guys about the coaching that they offer. So lots of preparation. So I want to ask you guys kind of some feedback from you guys on how was the preparation experience for you? Would love to hear what you thought. So Marnie, we'll start back with you.
Yeah, the preparation was incredibly valuable for me. I learned so many just practical and useful skills for not only creating, but delivering a well-polished presentation. The marketing schedule was incredibly helpful for me. The way that you set it up for us and delineated specific dates for what types of outreach we would be doing, whether it was email or social media marketing. So that for me was incredibly helpful. I learned how to write the emails. I learned how to schedule emails ahead of time and schedule some social media posting ahead of time as well. The help that we had in preparing our talks was really useful in how to format and flow, that kind of thing. And also the mindset coaching that you provided for us throughout the process was very helpful.
All right. So I'm sure most of you guys are going to say some of the same things. So if you want to add something different, if there's something that comes up for you, Susan, you want to go?
Yes, thank you, Debbie. A lot of what Marnie said is ditto for me. When I signed up for it, I didn't quite know what I was getting into, but it was a fabulous experience. It was just chock full of fun, chock full of learning. For me, it was the technical aspects of it were not as I'd done that kind of stuff before. So that wasn't as big of a hurdle for me. What was is timing to only be 30 minutes because I can talk the best of them. And also the marketing piece because I had to overcome some of my own limiting beliefs. I'm going to be bothering people to be sending out all those emails like every week and sometimes every few days. So it was my own mindset in some instances that I really had to take a look at. And also that's what keeps me stuck or can keep me stuck in my own business sometimes. So it was just a microcosm for me of everything. I did have to learn technical stuff. Like I had never really used Flowdesk the extent that I had. So that was a big learning curve for me. So a lot of it was a big learning curve. But the biggest thing for me is I was never alone. As in everything, Debbie, that you and Thais do, you give us step by step and you're always here for us. And I so appreciated that. Appreciated getting to know everyone else.
Thank you. That's so sweet. I want to mention too, our person who really was the glue that held it all together was Catherine. Catherine is one of my assistants. And last year I was holding it all together. And I said, that's just not my skill set. Those details, that was super honestly overwhelming for me because it's a lot of, from every one of these women, we had coaching titles and bios and their talk titles and their slides and their recordings. I mean, there was lots of pieces of information from 30 different coaches. So it was a lot of pieces to put together. I'm so grateful that she was there to be able to help us with that aspect and keep all of that together. So thank you for that. Jodi?
Yes, ditto to all of it. But one of the things I would add is I love having a deadline. I love having something to manage to. And then at the end, having a product that you can really be proud of, which is super helpful. It's really helpful to have someone pushing you along the way, providing all of the tools, all of the support. But at the end of the day, really like dialing in that thing that you're talking about, whatever it may be, and really having what I would call an end product, which is super great.
Yeah. So as a part of what you all get, as they know already, but our summit speakers get back is they'll actually get their talk edited for them to use for themselves. So whether that be in the exact format that we provide it back to them, and they can now use it as something that they could send to somebody if they want to be a speaker at something, or if they'd like to be a guest on somebody's podcast, y'all can send your talk to them. but also it could be a freebie that you offer to your people to build your list. It could be part of an email series that you send to people. So lots of uses for that talk. One of the things I want to go back and mention about Susan as we talk about email, we talked specifically about the volume of emails and the social media posts we were going to be asking you guys to do. And it was a lot. When somebody hasn't written weekly emails, or maybe they've written weekly emails, and she's right, there was like maybe 15 emails. I'd have to go back and count, but it was a lot of emails and an equal amount of social media posts. And the deal is that collectively, everybody did it. That's how we were able to do this without spending any money on paid ads, was we all collectively tapped into each other's audiences, which is really fantastic, because if Susan has a friend that doesn't want to hire Susan, that same friend might want to hire Pam. So it's beautiful because it gives a way to cross-reference the audiences. But what we knew is that it would help everybody. When we asked him to send those emails, we knew that it would help prepare you for when you actually need to do a launch, because you will have already experienced and overcome the mindset of sending too many emails, posting too many times, that was good practice for you to have to do that. Because basically what we did was we did a launch. We launched the summit to get people signed up. You will be doing a launch for your business or for your group, and the same amount of emails or more will, in the same sort of rapid flow, will be what you'll want to do to have success in that. So thanks, Susan, for bringing that up. All right, Aida, how about you?
In terms of the preparation, I don't think there's any way I could have done something like participate in this if it hadn't been so well structured and planned out. And like you mentioned, like everything was like spoon fed to us. This is the day you're doing this. Even the graphics, like we didn't have to worry about creating our own graphics. We just had to pull it down from a file. And again, to what Jodi mentioned, having that accountability, having those deadlines were a huge help for me, because it's so easy to say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not feeling really creative today. I'll do it tomorrow. But then suddenly you've got like 5 emails to send all on the last day. So it was very helpful to have it so well put together and planned for us. It made it so easy.
All right. Thank you. Pam, how about you?
Just living through the entire process from start to finish, even to right now being a part of this podcast. I'm getting to experience just from beginning to end the process. We're doing a launch, and of course to have that actual end product. So everything that's been said and just living through each step of the process has been so valuable for me. I've never done it, and it's been really, really helpful.
You've heard the story about how I came up with the summit. I was thinking I needed some way to have my clients be able to be featured as speakers, and we need to get them exposed to more people and grow their email list. But even the guest coaches that came in said to me after we kind of got started, and I'm not tooting my own horn, I'm just saying it's a unique deal. They came in and they were like, wow, we have never seen anything like this. And it was like, that was so nice to hear that I don't actually know it. And I've been part of summits, and there's been nothing like this. It was like, submit a recorded talk about anything you want, and we'll give you some email addresses if somebody gets your freebie, which you know how that goes. It was like, you all get all the email addresses from everybody. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about why you all came to work with me. All of you have been part of the VIP program. I'd love if you could share maybe a transformation that you had during our time that we worked together, maybe a couple of key takeaways from the time that we worked together, anything you want to share, maybe that would help another coach make a decision about working with us. So,
I pretty much had nothing when I started working with you back in the spring of 2022. I had no website. I had no business card. I had no branding. I didn't even have like what I would call myself as a coach. I knew I wanted to coach midlife women because I'm in midlife, so I can relate, but I had literally nothing. And going through your program was huge for me. I was able to get my website up, business card. I learned how to use Canva to do graphics and presentations, Flowdesk for emails. I had done nothing of that. And just your weekly office hours and mindset coaching and the way we could ask for help whenever we needed. A couple of times I even reached out to you when it wasn't your normal time to schedule, and you always got back to me, which I really appreciated. But yeah, I don't know where I would be today if I hadn't started working with you.
I think the biggest piece is that you just don't know when you're certified. It seems like it's easy to be in business until you start. And then it's like for Aida particularly, it was one of her big hurdles to overcome was what kind of branding should I do? And are my colors okay? And what about my fonts? Which really wasn't so much about the colors and branding. That was really just a mindset issue. But you don't know that if you're out on the island by yourself. You don't know that. So it's helpful to have somebody else have a different perspective.
Well, and I just want to add one more thing. I use this analogy quite a bit. It's like you go through certification and you've got your certificate, like the one I have behind me. And then it's like, now what? It's like, I feel like after certification, you get put into this little rowboat and pushed out into the sea with no oars. And it's like, good luck. So having, being able to participate in your program, I felt like I had control again. I wasn't just floating aimlessly.
Awesome. Thank you. Pam, how about you?
Well, it brought order. It brought focus. Now, I am like Debbie, and I believe you said you was type 3 Enneagram, where we action-oriented, success-oriented. We want to get things done. So first of all, that resonated with me. She's an action-oriented person. It's not going to just be mindset. It's going to be action. That fuels me. So you will get things accomplished. You will have products along the way. You see your progression, and to actually have a business. So it really brought the focus for me. And with getting all of those things done, it then revealed to me that, okay, you have a mindset thing going on, because you got all the things done now. So now what's really the problem? So it was enlightening in that way because, for me, I was like all about the things because I like to get things checked off. But now what? They're checked off, and what are you doing? So it brought that to life for me so I could really focus in and really determine what are those underlying barriers for me. And then they have the mindset coaching as well. That's a part of it that helps get to the root of those things as well. So bringing that focus for me and then uncovering what was really something that was underlying there as well.
Yeah, super valid point. I want to tell you that Pam works full time. And so it is possible to work full time and to build your business. And it's also possible to be part of our program and work full time. One of the things that we do our very best to do is when somebody comes on a call that we know, we'd see Pam sitting in her car and I'd be like, she'd come on the screen. It's like, all right, everybody needs to hurry up because we need to let Pam talk so she can get on to work, So anyway, you've done a great job in getting things ready for sure. Yeah. Jodi, how about you?
I think the only thing that I can add that might be different is I love how you've built out the university. So that self-serve model. So like when I want to go grab a template or learn something, that's available to me. I don't have to wait for office hours or, to ask someone. And then as always, like having access to you through the office hours and outside of office hours at some level is really key because there aren't a lot of programs that provide that. And I think that's really what sets you apart and why people would want to and do work with you is because having that extra touch point is such a big difference.
I would love for Marnie or Susan, if you wouldn't mind, if I could put you on the spot, if one of you would talk about your experience. I don't know what your answer is going to be, but your experience in group coaching. One of the biggest things that is difficult for people to overcome when they hear group coaching, first of all, they think there's going to be lots and lots and lots of people. And second of all, they're sure there's no way you could help me if this is a group program. So do either one of you want to, first of all, talk about your experience, but also maybe talk about that?
Yeah, I'll talk about that first. That was one of my concerns is that would I get enough time? And as you've heard everybody say, there is so much time to get every single question answered. But my experience with group coaching was I learned so much more than I would have with one-on-one because I get to hear everybody else and I get to hear everybody's issues and then the solutions and how to deal with it. And I can relate to that. And also the mindset, because sometimes I felt like I was in an island alone feeling all of these. So we all supported each other. But it was tremendous learning that I would never have gotten otherwise. I just want to let you know that I'm very analytical like Debbie. I'm very analytical. And Debbie was not the first coach that I interviewed, a business coach. And I actually hired a business coach before. And while I'm not saying I didn't get value, a lot of coaches say, you'll make $50,000 in the first month. I just turn it off at this point in my life, please don't make those claims because for the most part, it's not real. It takes a lot of work. And so that was one of the things that I knew that this was real. And I had attended your Canva workshop and I knew that was real. I had gotten so much value out of that drew me to you in the first place. And also the infrastructure, because I had a program that I went through where they did teach us business technique. But I was like, okay, I'll try this one today. I'll try that one. And I didn't know what order and how to do it and what was effective and what wasn't. And this is a very clear step-by-step process. Just follow the process. I needed someone to take my hand and say, follow this process. And it works. And the other thing is I didn't really think I needed mindset that much. Oh my goodness. I needed that mindset. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, thank you. Thais is not here, and I'm sure that everybody here would rave about her mindset coaching. She really can catch something while I'm giving somebody their next step of what to do next. And when, let's say, Susan would respond back to me with a question, she can immediately hear that there's a problem. Just by the way that you answer the question, she can hear the subtleties in things and catch them right away. And it's so good. And when you get mindset coaching, sometimes you don't even know that really the person who's asked the question or maybe who's being coached, it's like the mirror's now being held up in front of your face. And it's like, oh, wow, she's talking to me, actually. I didn't think about that being a mindset problem, but actually that is, and I didn't realize it. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It's a great experience. So Marnie, how about you?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that I feel very lucky that I just happened to meet you at a live event and get your business card. And when I was starting my certification program, and I reached out to you early on and started working with you at the same time as I was doing my certification. And it was incredible to be able to do them at the same time. I felt that I was able to accomplish so much and learn so much as to how to move forward. Then immediately upon receiving my certification, I felt like I was ready to get going, and it was incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I remember when we met, you said, well, I just started certification and can I do both these things at once? And I was like, yeah, I mean, that to me seemed like I don't typically help people that are that early on in the deal. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, to me, it will really help it unfold. And in your case, you kind of knew what probably you wanted to coach around. So that was even more fun. So yeah, thank you for that. All right, ladies, what would you like to tell people about working with you? I would like each one of you to have an opportunity to tell anybody that's listening really what you could do to support them. Maybe you've got an offer that you want to share. Maybe you want to invite them to connect with you somehow. I'm going to let each of you have an opportunity to go for that. So Jodi, let's start with you.
Sure. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I do best is really helping people get in step with God's timing and really understanding his ways. I have a small product right now that I'm producing and putting out there for people if they want to just try, taste and see. It's a monthly download activity book, and it's a great way to just kind of step into what is this thing that this gal is talking about. So that's available, and that's through SelahCoaches.com, also the NowAssignment.com. And then I also offer one-on-one coaching, and I'm starting a program at the end of March, which is a 9-week program, which starts with your now word, which is your prophetic word. And then we work that word and we take it all the way through for 10 full weeks, 9 weeks consistently. And then the 10th week, we check in about 3 months and find out your progress and how things are going.
I tell you, I know somebody who has worked with Jodi, and I just don't know what I should say, but I would say I can even imagine the transformation. Maybe that's the right way. I never imagined that this person who I thought believed one way, or maybe didn't believe. Maybe I could say that. I'm not positive I could say that, but didn't really have a faith connection per se. After working with Jodi, I had a conversation with her and I was like, who am I talking to? Because this wasn't just somebody who had studied something. This was now somebody who was in relationship with God and was literally talking about it. It was so So incredible.
Yeah. And hearing from God, like truly. And it was, it's someone who did not have a context for God, wasn't raised with any religion, any faith, but was open to it. And that's really the key, right? You have to be open to the possibility that God will speak to you and that he's really there.
It doesn't matter what faith background you come from. It's a very interesting opportunity that Jodi provides. So thank you for that. All right. Aida, what about you?
In terms of working with me, I'm a natural empathetic person. I've been told I ask great questions. I do have a special 6-week promotional offer, but I will also do a free session initially for someone to get a feel for how it would be like to work with me. You can have a lot of really good information, but people need to get a feel for who you are as a person and see if they vibe with you. And so I can be reached at aidalifecoaching.com. That's AIDA. To add to that, I really have a passion for helping women in midlife get out of that blah, finding purpose, more engagement with your community, your family, your friends, and really not don't waste this next chapter of your life. It can be your best.
Since we've all experienced coaching, we see people who are just settling for life, who are maybe thinking like, oh, I'll work on that later, or I'll feel better later, or this is just the way it's supposed to be. And that is just not the way it has to be. I mean, for all the coaches here, it just doesn't have to be that way. And it doesn't take a lot of work, and none of it's a huge investment. And it's so transformative, and it just doesn't transform you. It transforms everybody that you come in contact with. And you get yourself straightened up in a way that you didn't know you needed to be straightened up. It affects everybody. I love it. All right. Thank you. Pam.
I would say for me, what you get with me is being seen. I really, more than anything, want everyone to know that you are seen, you matter, and you are great. I just care so much that you know that you are seen and heard. I mean, that's just everything to me. So that is who I am, and that's what I convey. I am doing a 3-pack, a deeply discounted 3-pack of coaching where you can come in and you can get a taste, learn about yourself. I want you to know who you are. And of course, they'll have a ripple effect in bettering your marriage. So yes, I have a deeply discounted 3-pack of 3 coaching sessions that I'm offering. And you can find my information. Debbie Seychelles have all the links. And we can start with a consult and work our way from there. I see you. I hear you. You matter. We got this.
I love it. All right, Marnie.
So I offer a one-on-one private coaching for people, and I personalize my program for each individual. So it's really tailored to your specific needs and what it is that you are wanting to create for yourself. Like the other women have said, especially what Pam was saying, I do recognize the value in individuals, and my work really is to help people to come to see themselves the way that God sees them. So that is what I do. And I have a website. You can find my calendar there to schedule an appointment. I also do offer a mini consult that is no fee. So you can reach out to me and to see if we're a good fit.
Awesome. All right, Susan. Susan does a lot of things. She's got lots of tools in her bag. So tell us about how you can help women and kind of what you have to offer.
Yes. So I help women who are struggling with work and personal life demands become energized again and reclaim their time, health, and joy. But I want to go a little deeper than that because that's just the buzzword or the surface of it. Me personally, as I told you, I am analytical, but I also have a lot of heart. So I connect the heart-mind. I connect the body-mind. That means that when you're in session with me, it is safe. It is trusting. It is loving. It is compassionate. And there's nothing that you could ever say to me to shock me. I'm also what I consider an elder, and an elder is not something that should be frightening. It means that I have life experience. And so I bring that life experience with me, not put that life experience on you, but to help guide you. So that's a little bit about me. Some of the offerings, I gave the talk on the 5 secret how-tos to set boundaries, build balance, and tame time, but that's just the beginning of it. Okay. because a lot of times what keeps us stuck is, again, some of the things that are conscious and some of the things that are subconscious. And we go into that same loop over and over and over again. And we've tried so many things to get out of that. So when you said all the things that I do a lot of things based on what it is that you need. The coaching, by the way, is coaching, not that I go into your background and what happened when you were a baby and all of that, but what are we going to do right now to move you forward in where you want to be? Feel the best you that you are. That's how we go about doing it. We may be doing it talking and discussing back and forth. We may be doing with mind or with reflection. We may be doing with mindfulness. We may be doing it with movement or somatics or body-based techniques. We may be doing it as food with medicine. We may be doing breathing techniques, all of the above. So some of the offerings that I have is I am going to do a deep dive into my talk because I talked about a lot of things in my talk.
Yeah.
So there'll be a 6-week deep dive into that. I do one-on-one coaching and I also do group coaching. But also for me, it's time in my life to give back. And that's what I really want to do because I'm so grateful for where I am today. I do have a private Facebook group that I'd love you to join. It's called the 3-Minute Mindful Circle. And it's really daily just to have a supportive community. No selling in there, nothing like that. It's just for you with women who are like you in a supportive community.
Beautiful. All right, let's wrap this up. I would love to hear, we should have started out at the beginning of the podcast with this, but I would love to hear kind of what you want to say about the summit in general. We got on and I made the ladies pause because we were all excited. This is our first time to see each other since yesterday after we wrapped up. So if each of you wants to share maybe anything that comes up for you about the summit in closing, that would be awesome. So Aida, I'm going to start with you because you talked about the summit. You made a comparison from last year to this year. So let me pause a moment and say, if you work with us in the Business Building Boutique, you always have a spot in our summit. You will always be able to speak. She spoke last year and she spoke this year as well. So if you want to share about that.
Yeah, sure. So last year, I had never done anything like this. So it was my first time really as a speaker. So I was a little freaked out about that. But I was mentioning earlier that, it's one of those things where you're like maybe planning a wedding and you don't know who has the ring and you don't know. There's all these moving parts and you're thinking, when this day comes, is this really going to go off, well? And that's how I felt about the summit. And it seemed like even till the last minute, it was like, do we all have the tech down? But it just all came together. It's like magical. And, I was so impressed by all the speakers. But this year, I feel like it even went up a whole other level in terms of the speakers and the topics and the incredible information that was shared. I mean, I learned a lot just watching other people speak. So yeah, it was just a great experience and hopefully I can do it again.
Everybody's invited back. That's for sure. We did also add this year a Facebook group for the attendees, and that was something new. So if you're listening to this podcast in January, the Facebook group will be open through January 31st. And these coaches and many of the other coaches still have free coaching sessions with no strings attached that they are giving away inside of that Facebook group. So I tell you, I was super excited because we got some really amazing feedback from all of you guys' talks yesterday. But I also saw there was somebody that came in and said, I need some coaching. And I love that. She was asking for support. She listened to a talk and she realized after listening to a talk, I've gotten some clarity on something and I need some help. So that's the purpose of that Facebook group. Again, everybody here, yes, we're all coaches. We all want to sell coaching. We're all here to make some money in our businesses. But ultimately, we all have servant hearts. That's what everybody has. So, we want to be able to help people. So that's what the Facebook group is all about. Marnie, how about you next?
The summit was incredibly uplifting, motivating, and encouraging. And I think that it is for every woman in any stage of their life. There was something for everyone. I learned things from some of the talks that I didn't think really applied to me, but I learned so much. And I was so impressed with the level of value that was offered in every talk.
All right. Thank you. Pam?
As Debbie shared with you, I work full time, so I wasn't able to actually be live listening to several of the sessions, but to know that I have almost like an arsenal of songs on so many different subjects that I can pull from and just listen to as I drive or as I'm working, whatever I'm doing, I can just, play one for the day that's different and get something new out of it. It's just such a value. So for those of you, get the replays. We have something so valuable that we can just pull from at any time. And here's some great information that we can use right away. So just having that is like a resource for me. And then having been a part of it, oh my God, to actually pull together the presentation and go through it and deliver it. I mean, it's been an incredible experience that has propelled me into the new year in such a way in which, I'm feeling kind of fearless right now. I can do it. I can do it. So it's been great.
Thank you. Thais Glenn, our mindset coach, who was actually a speaker last year. She did speak this year too. We had one of our clients that had 103 fever and literally no voice. Thais and I both had talks as a backup. Again, just making sure that we didn't miss anything. If somebody wasn't available to get on. So Thais did a talk. But what she said last year was, what I realized is that after I did that talk, I thought, if I can do that and not know how many people were going to be there and never have experienced that technology and there's 600 and something people signed up for this thing this year. To know that and pull it off, she said, I just thought I can do anything now. She said it felt like she went from being like somebody who was just playing being a coach in business to somebody who had a business now. So that's kind of, what you're saying, Pam. It really inspires you to take like you're ready to go. So thank you. All right, Susan.
Ditto what everybody else said. I don't know if I can top that. I wasn't sure that I was going to listen to all the talks. I didn't think it was going to be relevant. Like Marnie said, was like, oh my gosh, it's the best thing I ever heard. Oh, I have to write this down. I have to write that down. And I'm just flying high today. And it's giving me the motivation and the impetus and the confidence to go ahead and do what it is that I'm meant to do. And I can listen to these over and over again because it's not one and done to just listen to it once. I think it was one of the most impressive virtual summits I have ever been at. It was so full of information, and not only information, but helping me in a very practical way. So that was just fabulous.
I agree. It was fabulous. All right, Jodi.
I think what I can add is that, one, I think that it's just a beautiful gift that it's just available, right? That everyone can log in and get all of that, just like we mentioned with the replays as well. But that it's not just, how a lot of summits that I've been to anyway will be focused around one particular thing, like marketing, for example. But this summit is so many different aspects of your life. And then when it's hosted is a really big deal because that is the time in the season where people are thinking about their next year. So it's a total setup to be successful and go a little deeper, which is really beneficial for people. It's not just a good idea. You know what I mean?
If I was going to change anything about the summit, it was like, maybe we shouldn't do it at the 1st of January because it's difficult. People are over the holidays and it's difficult to, the deadlines. There's a lot of deadlines for the people preparing, but there is that thing of like, we're at the second week of January and people still have desires and a lot of optimism and see a lot of possibility for the new year. And it's such a beautiful gift to be able to have people learn from you guys about what is possible for them. So you guys, thank you so much. You make my work and my life so amazing. You make me so happy. Seriously, I appreciate you so much. Thanks for being a part of this, for all of the heart and soul and the work that you guys put into this, the courage that it takes to do that. I remember when I first started talking to Zoom, you all have heard this. I was scared to record myself in my office by myself with nobody watching. So I know what it's like. That's impossible for me to imagine now because I can't think of anything that makes me nervous now, talking to people. That doesn't bother me, but it's hard to do all of it for the first time. So thank you guys for your courage and for your determination and for the passion that you have and the willingness that you have to help people. Really appreciate it. All right, ladies, that's it. We will see y'all very soon. Have an amazing week. And thanks again for being here. Okay, ladies, that is it for today. Before we go, I want to invite you to head over to debbieshada.com. I have this incredible Canva training specifically designed for life coaches where I'm going to teach you how to use Canva to create beautiful graphics to market your life coaching business. All right, have an amazing week. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.